Marvel Comics have a sprawling universe of iconic heroes and villains, each with their own distinct identities and powers. But what happens when these iconic heroes are fused together? This is the top 10 greatest fusion characters in Marvel history. The good, the bad, and the weird. Number 10. Onslaught. From Earth 616, Onslaught was born from the consciousness of two of the most powerful mutants on Earth, Professor Charles Xavier, leader of the X-Men, and the villainous Magneto. Onslaught represents all of the pain and anger of Xavier's accumulated experience, amplified by Magneto's hatred and lust for power. Onslaught first began to form within Professor X when he psychically attacked Magneto after the villain nearly killed Wolverine. Professor X used his telepathic abilities to wipe Magneto's consciousness and place him into a catatonic state. As he burrowed into his rival's mind, Magneto's grief and anger amplified every negative thought and feeling that Xavier had tried to suppress. Onslaught's might. Onslaught possessed all of the abilities of Professor X and Magneto, amplified by pure hatred. This allowed him to combine Xavier's incredible psychic power with Magneto's control over the electromagnetic spectrum. He could absorb other mutants and obtain their abilities. After absorbing Franklin Richards and the powerful psychic Nate Gray, two Omega-level mutants, Onslaught could warp reality and was capable of just about anything, even creating a second sun to kill his enemies. In addition to the X-Men, Onslaught fought against the combined might of Marvel's heroes, including the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. To slow the heroes down, Onslaught unleashed an electromagnetic pulse that destroyed all technology in New York City. This caused planes to crash and triggered explosions throughout the city. It even took the Avengers' and Fantastic Four's advanced technology. After his physical form was destroyed, Onslaught became a being of pure mental energy. Defeating the formless being required the combined efforts of every non-mutant hero, who all absorbed a piece of Onslaught. This effectively vaporized Earth's mightiest heroes at once. There are plenty more wild fusions to come, but before we look at what might be the strangest version of Spider-Man of all time, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications. Number 9. Ghost Panther.
I smell your guilt, prey. The hunt is over. Your soul is forfeit.
In the twisted-up reality of Warp World, the heroic Black Panther was possessed by the spirit of vengeance that created Ghost Rider. This version of T'Challa was an arrogant prince cast out of Wakanda until he was found deserving of his title. Left abandoned, T'Challa used his mighty reflexes to become a famous stunt driver under the name Johnny Blaze. After a near-death experience, he was tempted by the demonic spirit Zarathos to take on the mantle of Ghost Rider and help consume souls for hell. At first, T'Challa refused. After hearing of his father's murder and a terrorist assault on Wakanda, T'Challa returned home. With the heart-shaped herb that granted a Black Panther their power destroyed in the attack, there would be no protector of Wakanda. To defend his people, T'Challa called on Zarathos and sacrificed his soul. Panther power. Charged by the infernal strength of the spirit of vengeance, this T'Challa had all of the Ghost Rider's powers, and he even rode a cool flaming panther that contained the spirit of his dead father, T'Chaka. In addition to the signature flaming skull, Ghost Panther could summon and manipulate hellfire in many ways, even creating a motorcycle or other forms of transportation. He used the fire to create deadly panther claws and shoot it at enemies. But his most powerful tool was the penance stare, which forced anyone who stared into his eyes to feel the weight of all of their lifelong sins at once. When defeated, Panther would collect the evildoers' souls and send them to hell. Since he was already a pawn of the underworld, the Ghost Panther cannot be killed so long as the spirit of vengeance resides in his body, even if shot right in his fiery skull. Ghost Panther's not the only Marvel hero to take on the fiery skull of the Ghost Rider, but we've got a few more weird mashups to get to before that. Number 8. Gwen Stacy, Nightbird. In the alternate reality known as Heroes Reborn, Marvel's team of Justice League copycats, the Squadron Supreme, were the premier superheroes of the Marvel Universe. Spider-Man was never created, and as a result, Gwen Stacy was never caught up with the Green Goblin or killed in that fateful encounter on the George Washington Bridge. Instead, Gwen went on to become a doctor and psychologist at Ravencroft Asylum. After the death of her father, Police Captain Stacy, Gwen trained with Batman wannabe Nighthawk. She became his sidekick and took the name Nightbird. At Nighthawk's side, she fought villains like the Jackal and Goblin until she was exposed to the Goblin's psychoactive gas. After that, she went mad and turned villain, even fighting a multiverse-spanning team full of superheroic alternate versions of Gwen Stacy. She eventually recovered and joined the other Super Gwens. Nightbird is not only mashed up with Nighthawk, but her name and style are an homage to former Avenger and ex-wife of Hawkeye, Mockingbird. Nightbird's cunning skills. Nightbird is a master combatant and detective with a brilliant mind. She was trained by Nighthawk, one of the greatest fighters in his reality. Despite being a normal human, her fighting skills and acrobatic abilities made her a formidable enemy, even when facing opponents with superpowers. She also had an array of gadgets and weaponry, including adamantium hawkerangs and grappling hooks. She was also one heck of a motorcycle driver. This version of Gwen Stacy was able to avoid a deadly fate at the hands of Norman Osborn, but others would not be so lucky when they encountered a fiendish fusion that saw Osborn merge with another of the most psychotic murderers in the Marvel Universe. Number 7. Weapon Hex. Back on Warp World, the young mutant clone of Wolverine, Laura Kinney, aka X-23, aka Wolverine 2, was combined with the Scarlet Witch. She was created as a result of a series of cloning experiments by a cult called the Evolutionaries, who worship the demon Mephickton. The worshippers sought to provide a host body for their demonic god. After many failures, Laura's scientist parents believed that to create the perfect host would require an imperfect natural process. So, they gave birth to a daughter. When the child was born, she was artificially mutated and magically enhanced. As she grew, the young Laura was raised as a weapon by the Evolutionaries to prepare her body for her eventual demonic host. When her father tried to sacrifice her when she turned 18, she escaped with her cloned sister. Weapon Hex not only has the classic claws and healing factors of Wolverine, she's able to combine her hacking and slashing with the unpredictable power of Scarlet Witch's chaos magic. Hex could even charge her claws with her magic, making them capable of slashing through anything. These lightsaber hands also looked incredibly cool. Laura Kinney is a deadly assassin, and her combat skills and claws would be trouble enough, but this Wolverine is also a powerful witch. She's able to amplify her natural healing abilities to even reassemble severed limbs, shoot magical blasts called Hex Rays capable of incinerating victims, and form protective shields. She's also got the short temper of Wolverine, which makes for an incredibly dangerous combo with emotionally charged magic. Number 6. Red Goblin. Did you know that the deadly Carnage symbiote once bonded with Spider-Man's arch-nemesis Norman Osborn? Drawn to Osborn's rage and bloodlust and their mutual hatred for the Wallcrawler, this frightening Red Goblin reveled in tormenting Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Osborn promised to show the sadistic symbiote new ways to kill. As Red Goblin, Osborn was even more cruel, constantly taunting Spidey with threats of torturing his loved ones. "We're gonna play so many games, you and I. Oh, the screams I'm gonna retch out of you." Goblin even faked his own death to trap the Wallcrawler. The combination of the Goblin formula in Norman's blood and the incredible power of the Carnage symbiote made Spider-Man's fight with the Red Goblin one of the most intense of his life. Red Goblin's raging abilities. Red Goblin's physical powers outclassed even Spider-Man's super strength. He had all of the standard symbiote powers, like the ability to turn his limbs into razor-sharp weaponry, or shoot webbing like tendrils, or deadly projectile needles. Red Goblin also had a few unique tricks. He used the symbiote's powers to create Carnage bombs, a Carnage-enhanced version of Green Goblin's classic pumpkin bombs. These were even more dangerous and creepy. Not only could Red Goblin control these bombs as they soared through the air, but they cackled with Osborn's haunting laugh before exploding. To make things worse, because the Carnage symbiote came from Venom, which had once bonded with Peter Parker, they didn't set off Peter's Spidey sense. As Red Goblin, Carnage was able to overpower Spider-Man and his allies, including Miles Morales, Silk, and the Human Torch. The Red Goblin was only defeated when Spidey tricked Norman into separating from Carnage by appealing to Norman's twisted ego. Red Goblin is one frightening villain, but this next fusion is just straight up weird. Number 5. Weapon H. This rampaging giant is a literal fusion of the Hulk and Wolverine's data cooked up in the labs of Weapon Plus. That's the same group who experimented on Wolverine and gave him his adamantium. Clayton Cortez was a soldier subjected to cruel experiments under the direction of military commander William Stryker. Cortez was turned into a giant raging gray Hulk with protruding retractable bones all over his body and claws in his hands. Cortez was freed when the Hulk and a team of former Weapon X experiments, including Wolverine, attacked the Weapon Plus facility. The scientists tried to use Hulkverine to defend the lab. Unfortunately, their controls didn't work as they expected. The first thing Weapon H did upon release was kill a rampaging failed Hulk experiment. Free from captivity, Weapon H traveled the country looking for a place to belong. The hulking power of Weapon H. This beastly powerhouse was genetically engineered to have all of the gamma-powered strength of the Hulk and the mutant powers of Wolverine. It makes him one freaky-looking monster and an incredibly strong and basically unkillable superhero, or supervillain depending on his mood. With his impenetrable skin and adamantium bones, this Hulk is basically impervious to damage and completely bulletproof. The only things that seem capable of breaking his skin at all are weapons made of vibranium or adamantium. This fusion managed to hold his own against the combined assault from both of his genetic parents, even with both of them turned into Hulkverines themselves. Weapon H combines Hulk's sheer power with real combat skills, having been trained as a Marine and Navy SEAL. Weapon H is even able to transform into other monstrous forms similar to other gamma mutates like the bird-like Harpy or the giant-headed villain the Leader. Cybernetic implants controlled his transformation between human and Hulk form and gave him a healing factor as powerful as Wolverine's. Number 4. Iron Hammer. On Warp World, Tony Stark's history was twisted up with the God of Thunder to create a fusion of Iron Man and Thor. Stark Odinson, Prince of Asgard, was exiled to Earth for his arrogance and cruelty. Stark awoke in Norway with no memory of his origins except for knowledge of advanced technology. Using those skills, he quickly created a corporate empire under the name Sigurd Stark. But he was tormented by his memory loss and fell into alcoholism. As he wandered drunkenly through a blizzard, he was lured into an ambush of dark elves. They struck him with a poisonous arrow that slowly paralyzed his whole body. Stark was drafted to create weaponry for the dark elves' armory. With the help of an ally in the labor camps, he forged a mystical suit of armor that kept the poison from reaching his heart. He also carried Mjolnirin, a mighty warhammer. After the death of his ally, the Iron Hammer escaped and dedicated his life to justice and the defeat of the Dark Elves' leader, Malekith. Iron Hammer's godly might. Iron Hammer was a mighty deity who could control the forces of lightning with both his magical armor and warhammer. The armor was enchanted with magic runes that protected Stark's heart from the elvish poison coursing through his body. Stark's suit was an incredible combination of magic and science that made Iron Hammer a worthy foe to all evildoers. The suit itself was powered by the mighty hammer Mjolnirin. The hammer was forged from cold iron, a mystic metal that is extremely deadly to elves. Stark's mystic armor also connected him to the Rainbow Bridge of Asgard, allowing him to teleport across the universe. Though he has access to some of Thor's ability to control lightning, he lacks the full power of the gods. Sigurd Stark chose to forsake his immortal heritage to live a human life. If our next fusion is anything to go by, he made a wise choice, as eternal life can have some dire consequences. Number 3. Cosmic Ghost Rider. In the far future, the Punisher took on the Spirit of Vengeance in an attempt to bring down Thanos and become Ghost Rider. But after Thanos wiped out all other life on the planet and left Earth behind, the Punisher was left alone on a dead world. Untold years later, Galactus arrived on Earth seeking help and granted Ghost Rider the power cosmic, making him one of the most powerful creatures in all of creation. Instead of defeating Thanos, he eventually joins the Mad Titan to help punish all remaining evil in the universe. He went on to aid Thanos in his quest to wipe out all life in creation. If that doesn't make much sense, well, Ghost Rider's the first to admit he lost his mind. As he explained it, "I joined him in the beginning thinking that I could get close to him and slit his throat in his sleep. But then I got lost. My mind it didn't work good. And before I knew it, I looked up and had fallen too far. I didn't know how not to be the thing he made me to be." Personality-wise, this Punisher had become as much of a motormouth as Deadpool, and his wacky chattering made it easy to forget how powerful he was. Even he sometimes forgot what he was capable of. Ghost Rider's cosmic power. The Spirit of Vengeance is one of the mightiest forces on Earth. In fact, Ghost Rider is one of the few heroes that is capable of standing up to the Hulk. Like Ghost Panther, this cosmic Ghost Rider has complete control of the flames of hell. He was able to annihilate a horde of assaulting aliens that even two Thanoses struggled to hold at bay. The strength of those flames caused explosions powerful enough to be seen from space. Cosmic Ghost Rider also had the power of the Penance Stare, although it didn't do much good when only Thanos was left because he found it an amusing reminder of his many victories. As a Ghost Rider, this twisted Frank Castle was an immortal powerhouse. But when granted the power cosmic by Galactus, that strength was amplified to even greater heights. Now, he had control of the energies of the cosmos itself, which let him travel through space at light speed and fire incredible blasts of energy. His immense physical strength and demonic weaponry let Cosmic Ghost Rider throw Thanos around like a ragdoll. With his space motorcycle, mystic guns, and chains forged from the mystical bones of Sidorak, Cosmic Ghost Rider could punish anyone he came across. Number 2. Arachnides. This wall-crawling caped crusader is a Warp World fusion of Spider-Man and Moon Knight. Here, Peter Parker was bitten by a mystical spider creature after he and his Aunt May and Uncle Ben were killed in a violent attack. The spider brought him back to life and granted him the usual Spidey powers we all know and love. But it had the unexpected side effect of splitting his mind into 4 distinct personalities. Personality 1, the Arachnid. This guy is your classic Spider-Man and the main identity that takes care of superheroing. He's an acrobatic, quippy, friendly neighborhood type of hero. Personality 2, the Knight. If you ever wanted to know what a Spider Batman would look like, here's your answer. This personality is a much darker and more violent persona who is great at finishing off the villains. He takes charge when Peter finds himself in life-threatening situations. Personality 3, CEO Peter. This is the confident and capable head of Parker Industries, everything the nerdy kid wished he could be when he grew up. Personality 4, Science Peter. This last personality walked right out of those early pages of Amazing Fantasy 15, Spider-Man's first appearance. He's the least athletic and most timid, and is even afraid of heights. Despite his lack of physical skills, this is the most intelligent of the personalities, and his technology built Parker Industries. Arachnite is an interesting flip on the traditional dual lifestyle of Peter Parker, where the demands of his personal life as Peter and responsibilities as Spider-Man are always in conflict. Arachnite abilities. Arachnide's powers will be familiar to any fan of Spider-Man. He has all the classics: wall crawling, super reflexes, proportional strength of a spider, mechanical web shooters, and his danger alerting spider sense. The difference with Arachnite is how he applies those skills. As the Knight in particular, this wall crawler is a lot less friendly. When he confronted his aunt and uncle's killer, he was downright frightening. "I don't pull punches, but I'm no killer." Never felt it was my place to decide another man's fate, with one exception. There's one monster on Earth I know deserves to be in a box. I've been stalking shadows all these years looking. With the backing of Parker Industries, this Peter could also afford more advanced tech than the perpetually broke version in the 616 universe. This included projectile darts, a cape for gliding, and a robo-suit that could be automatically deployed. Arachnide isn't our last trip to Warp World. This final entry is maybe the strangest fusion of all. Number 1. Soldier Supreme. Warp World brought together Captain America and Doctor Strange. Steve Rogers volunteered for an experimental process to become a super soldier to fight in World War II and underwent a mystical ritual to become the peak of human perfection. Steve went on to lead an elite squad of soldiers, the Howling Commandos. Always at his side was faithful Bucky Wong, the fused combo of Cap's friend Bucky Barnes and Doctor Strange's partner Wong. In a mystical battle with Dormammu Red, the combination of Strange's villain Dormammu and Cap's nemesis the Red Skull, Soldier Supreme was trapped in the dark dimension where Steve Rogers stayed for decades, unaging. In that dimension, he honed his mystical powers in an endless battle against hordes of demons. Years later, he was freed and arrived in modern day to help uncover the truth of Warp World. That everyone in this reality was composed of two distinct souls. Rogers eventually helped reset the world and put things back as they should be. Supreme strength. Like Captain America, this Steve Rogers was a valiant warrior. He effortlessly combined combat skills with sorcery and had all of Doctor Strange's magic know-how. This included flight, teleportation, astral projection, magical healing, and energy manipulation. Steve often healed his teammates and even preserved Bucky's spirit after death as the ghostly Winter Soldier. The Soldier Supreme's twist on Cap's iconic shield was a magic sigil. His preferred fighting style was to channel mystical energies into a physical attack. Rogers' sorcery helped to undo the reality warp that created his fused world and even preserved the new universe as a pocket dimension. Inspired by the fight to save reality, Soldier Supreme later went on to lead a team of hybrid heroes called the Defenders. I once fought for my country. Now I'll fight for my world. Every life must be defended, every loss avenged. This world will have its own defenders, and we will never go down without a fight. Combining Cap's intelligence and tactical mind with Doctor Strange's mastery of the mystic arts, this soldier is no doubt one of the most powerful and intriguing combos in Marvel history. But for the deadliest combos, check out our video on the top 10 strongest symbiotes in the Marvel Universe.